This video will be discussing how to set up an approval in Adjutant. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my approval setup screen. I can find that by following the menu path Maintain, Approval Management, Approval Setup. Once I'm on my approval setup screen, any approvals that have already been set up will appear in the approval grid below. And you can see here that there are a lot of examples set up. I'm going to go ahead and set up a new one. The way that I can do that is to go to my upper right hand corner of my screen and hit my Add or my New button. I will type in my customer or my vendor. I can either use the org ID or I can actually use the company name or organization name. If I do not want the approval to be set up for a specific customer, I can leave this blank and it will be set up for all customers and vendors. The next thing I'm going to select is my document. So I can set up approvals for AP invoices, sales orders, purchase orders, etc., etc. In this case, I'm going to select the sales order. Next, I'm going to choose my type. So based on the source document that I've selected, in this case sales order, I'm going to select what type of sales order that is. Next, I'm going to select the process. So for all of the different types of documents, I can select what it is that I'm approving. So if I want to set up an approval for someone to approve a transaction or source document before it is printed or shipped or sent to production, I can choose whatever process I want. And these are going to change based on the type of document that you select. In this case, I'll choose print. If I go over here to my right side, I can set up my mins and maxes. So if I want to, I can set these up based on value or on margin. You can see here that this is set up for negative 99 million to positive 99 million. And so what that means is that essentially any order that's created will have to be approved based on these values. If I wanted to, I could set up a minimum value of maybe 10,000, and that would mean that anything under 10,000 would not need to be approved based on this setup, but anything over 10,000 would need to be approved. I will use the min and max margin the same way. Right below there you will see your order field, and you will only change this order field from 1 if you're going to be using what we call tiered approvals. So the way that a tiered approval will work, let's say this approval was set up to be approved by Hunter. So we would set this approval up, assign it to Hunter with an order of 1, and then hit save. I could then go in and create another approval with all the same information and change the order to 2 and assign a different user. So in that case, in order for the approval to actually go through, it would first have to get approved by Hunter, and then second, it would have to get approved by Greg. Again, if you're only going to be approving by one user, you will leave this at 1. And that brings me down to my approved by. So this is going to be who is it that needs to approve this source document. And I can assign that in 2 different ways. I can either use actual names, or if I want, I can select a dynamic user. And what a dynamic user would be, let's just take project manager for example. So in this case, if I wanted this approval to go through the project manager every time, what would happen is on this sales order, whatever project that is associated with the sales order, the project manager for that project would be responsible for approving the order. So that would mean that every time that I created an order for ABC Test Company, the approval would get sent to the project manager of the project that is associated with the sales order. And you can see here that we have many different dynamic users. So you can select any of these. Once I've set up all my fields for my approval, I can hit my save button, and I'm done. My approval is ready to go.